We've already had a big injury, and that was Rondo, who we talked about last week. Now, we talked about it in reference to Avery Bradley being out because they were going to be short on guards. They have added guys that have not played for them yet. J.R. Smith, who you imagine will fit in just fine on a LeBron team, and Dion Waiters, who also has not played for them yet. And so you had Rondo, who, especially if you were going to be playing against two big guards, if there's an instance where Portland catches fire and is able to make it to the playoffs, and you've got to face Lillard and McCollum in the first round, Rondo being a bigger guard and maybe being able to play off the ball defensively would be helpful. The other thing that we mentioned is he has this track record of being a guy who has been way better in the playoffs. He just has. Now, even a few years ago when he was playing for New Orleans, he had like 8 double-doubles in 9 games. They swept the aforementioned Blazers when he was playing there. And so who knows what he was going to perform like and how the stats are going to match up from what it was like when LeBron and Rondo were on the court in the regular season to what it would be in the postseason. That being said, I cannot help but look at the numbers and think that it could weirdly be actually a benefit to the Lakers. I mean, if the numbers translate to postseason play, the Caruso LeBron numbers are crazy. They are. I think it was in terms of just a 2-man lineup. I saw Kevin Pelton put this up yesterday after he had talked about the whole playoff Rondo and how that's real. That you had, I think it was plus 20. Their net rating was minus 6.8 with Rondo on the court. Is the worst of any player who had seen more than 400 minutes of action this season. Although the Caruso-James pairing has been particularly effective, lineups with Caruso at point guard and James on the bench have been far more effective, plus 3.5 net rating. And so it went on to say that these numbers with those two guys on the court together, the LeBron Caruso, according to Cleaning the Glass, the Lakers have played just 84 minutes all season with none of Bradley, Caruso, James, and Rondo on the court. Quinn Cook has played in those situations. The Lakers outscored opponents by 20.8 points per 100 possessions with both players on the court. The best of any 2-player combination that has seen at least 200 minutes of action for the team. That is Caruso and James. And so that's the odd thing here, right? Look, you'd rather have Rondo if you can have Rondo, but statistically, Caruso with James has been better. And I think this is one of those where it's pretty easy for me, at least, to see, okay, do the analytics match up to what you think could be true? And Rondo is a guy that we've always known is not very effective without the ball in his hands. Even when we talked about playoff Rondo, he's a guy that controls the ball. And on that team, Caruso knows his role, and it's LeBron's team, and he's got the ball. So I can see how they're better without another guy that needs the ball, because that just means LeBron's got the ball more.
Alex Caruso, overcovered, underrated.
Yeah.
Weird player in that sense, because he's on the Lakers, he's become a meme, with the bald head and everything. But he's an underrated player.
All-star voting?
Yeah, all-star voting. But he's an underrated player, though. He's a really, really good role player with a real nose for the ball on the defensive end, plays hard, tips out rebounds. And on offense, he always makes the right plays. Like, you wish he was a little bit better as a shooter. He hovers around 37% on catch and shoot spot up threes. You wish that were up a bit higher, like 40+% on a higher volume. But he's a good player, man, for that team. I mean, especially next to LeBron James, as you just said, like taking the ball out of LeBron's hands is not what you want to do. You don't want to take it out of AD's hands. And Caruso's a guy who really blends next to those guys and complements their strengths and doesn't clash against them at all.
Well, and obviously there is the comparison because he is a white point guard that plays on a LeBron team. I mean, it's not unlike Delly. You saw a lot of times where Dellavedova
that's actually a really good comparison for like the style.
It worked. It worked with LeBron, right? Did all the dirty work, kept the ball moving, could hit an open shot every once in a while, but he was not like some kind of dead-eye guy, but harassed, opposing point guards, played good defense, made a couple winning plays here and there. And that worked. I mean, that was a nice fit with LeBron, certainly.
He can be
sort of a ton of games.
He can be that Delly. He can be that Chalmers. And that's sort of what you're looking for from Caruso moving forward. And by the way, I mean, like with Rondo, assuming the Lakers advance past the first round after they defeat the Pelicans.
Yep.
or the Grizzlies. I'm just joking around with you.
I tell you this, Caruso can't stay in front of John Morant. I promise you that.
Oh, I mean, yeah. And that's where the losses will come for the Lakers when it comes to those matchups against, high-powered point guards, whether it's that first round matchup against Dame or John Morant or whoever, or down the line, losing Bradley and we'll see how Rondo is on defense. They're going to have to defend some point guards, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, whoever it may be. But for the Lakers, man, I mean, it could end up that Caruso gets this opportunity that he otherwise wouldn't have gotten, and it doesn't get taken away from him. And that could be a better thing for the Lakers in the long run because of his style compared to what Rondo is.
Well, and that's the thing, Kev. That's where I say sometimes, and we see this a lot in the NBA, you stumble into something that maybe you wouldn't have gotten to, but you were forced to, and it ends up, changing your team. Sometimes forever. Like I saw it years ago. Like this gets lost in history, but when the Grizzlies franchise turned around, Xavier Henry was drafted with the 14th pick overall. He was the shooting guard for the team. OJ Mayo was still on the team. Sam Young was still on the team. Tony Allen, who they had signed in the offseason, was an absolute afterthought. He was collecting dust completely. In December of his rookie year, he blew out his leg. He tore his ACL. And because of the way the roster was, they had to insert Tony Allen, and everything changed. Everything. Like the whole team did. And they're defensively, they changed completely. And then they had this aura and they became this grit and grind type team and whatever else. And so you stumble into that. And with this Lakers thing, I think, again, it's not going to be that profound. But if Caruso is the better option and you're Frank Vogel and you go with that over Rondo, it's a big problem if Rondo's totally healthy. He's a guy that has a ring. He's a guy that we've known. I mean, Dallas just had to get rid of him. They're going to be in the damn playoffs, Kev. And Carlisle wasn't with it, and they had to just send him home. And so if you're not playing...
That feels like so long ago.
I know.
It feels like yesterday, too.
But if you're not playing him big minutes, and he's not a big part of it, I don't think it is unfair to suggest that it could be a problem, right? If Caruso's playing over Rajon Rondo, that maybe it's, that maybe this is getting to somewhere that will actually benefit them. Certainly the numbers would tell you that that's true. It might get you to a place that benefits them while making it the easy thing to do, because benching Rondo for Caruso later down the line, that could be a disaster in your locker.
And I'm sure some Lakers fans will say this will be like when David Lee got hurt and Draymond Green.
Absolutely. You've seen it. Sometimes you stumble into it.
By the way, like it's not going to be that extreme. I'm just joking around, but that's like the most extreme best scenario that any team has gone through in recent years at all, is what happened with the Golden State Warriors stumbling onto, Draymond Green being that guy in that position that he fell into without David Lee there to block his way. And I mean, for the Lakers, man, like they're the favorites in my book, either way, Rondo or Caruso. But I do like their odds a little bit more knowing that Caruso is going to get this chance early. And then it's going to be Rondo who's going to have to come back and get reintegrated into the rotation. And we'll see, like at that point on that second round matchup, or like mid-second round when he's ready to come back, Vogel at that point might be like, I mean, Rondo, there's a case to be made there. Like it's hard to integrate you back in here. And we'll see though. Cause like, I still think like we talked about last week, playoff Rondo is a real thing.
Oh yeah,
it's real, and there is an upside factor with him that can't be underplayed with the Lakers moving forward, and there could be a role for him at some point whenever he's able to get back. Because I mean, this team is dealing with injuries right now. Dealing with situations with Bradley sitting out. They could use Rondo down the stretch, and they might need him in order to get through some series against the Clippers down the line.
Oh, they absolutely need him because at the even if we're just going to do the numbers, at least he's played minutes with these guys.
Yes,
and he knows to get the ball to Anthony Davis. I mean, this isn't rocket science when it comes to the playoffs and what you need to do if you're the Lakers. Get the ball to the two guys, right? Yeah. And they don't have anything. They got Quinn Cook and they got J.R. Smith and Deion Waiters haven't logged a minute, on this current team. I mean, the truth is, can you knock down some spot up threes, make a play? Especially, can you hold down the fort when LeBron has to take his slight breather? Because we know we've been through this for years. You end up winning. The pace slows down. LeBron's going to have the ball. He's going to whip it to you. Make the damn shot when he does. Other than that, it's going to be the James Anthony Davis show.
If we eventually do get that Lakers Clippers series, man, I mean, that's going to be epic. Epic.